When disaster strikes, it often leaves behind more than just rubble. It shatters lives, uproots families, and destroys the very foundations upon which communities rely. But in times of crisis, the power of unity and compassion can rise from the ashes, helping to rebuild not just homes, but hope itself. Cristiano Ronaldo, a global football icon, recently demonstrated just how much one individual can make a difference in the wake of tragedy. When a tsunami devastated coastal communities and left fishermen without the boats they needed to survive, Ronaldo's swift and heartfelt response not only provided them with the tools to rebuild their livelihoods, but also delivered a powerful message of solidarity, hope, and resilience. This is the story of how one act of generosity can restore a community and inspire the world. In moments of natural disaster, the devastation often goes beyond just the physical destruction of homes and infrastructure. Entire communities, especially those dependent on specific industries, find themselves facing a future full of uncertainty and hardship. The tsunami that recently struck coastal regions was one such catastrophe that left countless families without a way to support themselves. Among the hardest hit were the local fishermen, whose boats and fishing equipment were swept away by the raging waters. These individuals not only lost their homes, but also their primary means of livelihood, creating a deep sense of loss and hopelessness. However, amidst this devastation, stories of resilience and compassion begin to emerge. One such story comes from an unexpected source: the football field. Cristiano Ronaldo, the global football superstar, is known for his achievements on the pitch, but what often goes unnoticed is his generosity and commitment to helping those in need. Upon hearing about the tsunami's impact on the fishing communities, Ronaldo saw an opportunity to make a difference far beyond the confines of the sport. His response was immediate and heartfelt. Rather than just offering a token donation, Ronaldo took decisive action to help the people whose lives were deeply affected by the disaster. This wasn't just a celebrity endorsement or a fleeting gesture. It was a genuine effort to provide long-term, practical assistance. Ronaldo's desire to help stemmed from his understanding of the importance of the fishing industry in these regions, and how the loss of their boats was effectively the loss of their livelihoods. His initiative would not only provide the fishermen with the means to continue their work, but also give them hope for a future after the tragedy. As we delve deeper into the story, it's clear that Ronaldo's commitment went beyond his fame. It was about rebuilding lives and restoring dignity to those who had suffered. The impact of a tsunami is often unimaginable, and its consequences are felt deeply by the communities it affects. Tsunamis are powerful natural disasters that strike with little warning, and their destruction can be both immediate and long-lasting. In the case of the recent tsunami, coastal areas were hit hard, and the devastation was far-reaching. Not only did the waves submerge entire villages, but they also carried away everything in their path, from buildings and homes to essential tools and resources that communities relied upon for survival. For the fishermen in these coastal regions, the tsunami didn't just take away their homes. It devastated their entire way of life. Fishing is the primary livelihood for many families in these areas, and the loss of boats, nets, and other equipment meant that they were left without the means to feed themselves or earn an income. These communities are often heavily dependent on the sea for sustenance, and without their boats, they faced the harsh reality of having no way to provide for their families. The loss of the fishing fleet left the fishermen feeling powerless, as it meant that their skills and hard work could no longer support them. Beyond the physical destruction, the emotional toll of the tsunami was immense. Families who had already endured the trauma of losing loved ones and their homes were now forced to contend with the uncertainty of their future. For many, the loss of their boats symbolized a deeper sense of loss, of their identity, their culture, and their ability to provide for their children. The psychological impact was profound, as the fishermen not only faced the immediate challenge of survival but also the longer-term struggle to rebuild their livelihoods and their sense of stability. This devastation was a stark reminder of the fragile nature of life in coastal communities, where the livelihoods of so many people are tied directly to the resources of the sea. For these communities, the tsunami represented not just a physical disaster but an existential crisis. threatening to strip them of their ability to sustain themselves and their families. The challenges they faced were not just about rebuilding homes, but about finding ways to restore their means of survival and regaining a sense of hope and purpose in the wake of such a catastrophic event. When the news of the tsunami's devastation reached Cristiano Ronaldo, he was deeply moved by the suffering of the affected communities. Known globally for his on-field talent and celebrity status, Ronaldo has also gained recognition for his charitable efforts and humanitarian work. Despite his fame, he is keenly aware of the challenges faced by those in need, and he immediately saw the opportunity to make a tangible difference in the lives of the displaced fishermen. Ronaldo's response to the tragedy was not one of merely offering sympathy from afar. Instead, he took swift and direct action. Upon learning about the destruction caused by the tsunami, he recognized the immediate need for practical assistance. He knew that while temporary relief in the form of food and water was essential, it was equally important to help the affected communities regain their livelihoods. For the fishermen, the tsunami's most devastating blow was the loss of their boats and equipment, which were not only vital for their trade, but also integral to their way of life. Without boats, these families could not return to the sea, which meant they faced the very real risk of enduring prolonged hardship. Understanding the urgency of the situation, Ronaldo immediately began working with local charities and relief organizations to help provide the fishermen with the resources they needed to get back to work. His solution was focused on providing new boats, which were essential for the fishermen to resume their daily activities and begin rebuilding their lives. By focusing on this long-term solution, Ronaldo ensured that the aid provided would empower the communities to regain independence and rebuild their economy. His approach was practical, sustainable, and centered on the principle that helping people help themselves is the most effective form of assistance. Ronaldo's decision to directly assist the fishermen in this way was not just a financial contribution, it was a heartfelt commitment to those in need. His involvement went beyond monetary donations. Ronaldo also made a point to visit the affected areas, meet with the fishermen and their families, and offer encouragement in person. This personal connection demonstrated his genuine concern for their well-being, and his visit served as a beacon of hope, showing that even in the face of great loss, there are those who are willing to stand with them. This response highlighted not only Ronaldo's wealth and influence, but also his deep empathy and understanding of what these communities truly needed to begin the process of recovery. In the aftermath of the tsunami, one of the most immediate and pressing needs for the affected fishing communities was the replacement of their destroyed boats. The boats were the cornerstone of their livelihoods, allowing them to catch fish, feed their families, and support their local economies. Without these vital tools, the fishermen had no way to continue their work, leaving them vulnerable to prolonged poverty and a loss of stability. Recognizing the importance of boats for the community's recovery, Cristiano Ronaldo stepped in with a focused and impactful initiative to provide new boats for the fishermen. Ronaldo's initiative was not about offering short-term relief or temporary fixes. It was about addressing the core issue of restoring the fishermen's ability to work. His team collaborated with local organizations and boat manufacturers to ensure that the replacement boats would be both durable and suited to the specific needs of the communities. This meant that the boats provided were not only replacements for the ones that had been lost, but were also designed to withstand the challenges of the local environment, making them more reliable and effective in the long run. The boats, once provided, became more than just a means of livelihood. They symbolized hope, resilience, and the beginning of recovery. For the fishermen, receiving a new boat was the first step in returning to the sea and, by extension, to normalcy. It also allowed them to continue their tradition of fishing, which has often been passed down through generations. The emotional impact of this gesture was profound. It was not just about the physical boats, but about the message of solidarity and support it sent. Ronaldo's contribution helped these fishermen see a way forward and gave them the tools they needed to rebuild not just their businesses, but their lives. Beyond the immediate utility of the boats, Ronaldo's initiative also helped restore a sense of dignity and pride to the fishing communities. The ability to provide for their families once again meant that the fishermen could regain their independence and start to contribute to the recovery of their local economies. By focusing on providing the tools that would allow them to rebuild from the ground up, Ronaldo's initiative empowered the affected communities to take control of their future, while also fostering a sense of gratitude and unity among the beneficiaries. This practical solution demonstrated that true relief isn't about handing out temporary aid, but about giving people the means to rebuild their lives in a sustainable way. The impact of Ronaldo's initiative to provide new boats for the fishermen was felt immediately and profoundly, not just by the fishermen themselves, but by their families and entire communities. For many, the loss of their boats in the tsunami represented more than just the destruction of property. It signified the loss of their livelihood, their sense of security, and their connection to a way of life that had been passed down for generations. The fishermen's work was not merely a job, it was the foundation of their identity, culture, and survival. Without their boats, many were left with no way to feed their families or contribute to their local economies, plunging them into uncertainty and despair. When Ronaldo stepped in with his initiative to provide new boats, it directly addressed this crucial gap and gave the fishermen a renewed sense of purpose and hope. With the new boats, the fishermen could return to their work, set out to sea, and catch fish once again. This immediate return to their livelihood was not only a financial relief, but also an emotional and psychological boost. It allowed them to regain a sense of normalcy and autonomy after experiencing the chaos and trauma of the disaster. The boats symbolized a fresh start, a tangible and lasting resource that could help them rebuild their lives and move forward. For the families of the fishermen, this was a turning point. The women, children, and elders who depended on the fishermen for support could now rely on them to resume their work and provide for the household. The recovery of the fishing industry meant that families could once again access fresh food and earn a steady income. With the boats restored, the entire community began to feel a sense of relief, knowing that the means of survival had been restored. Moreover, the ability of the fishermen to return to work helped reestablish a sense of dignity and pride in their communities. The new boats weren't just a financial asset, they also represented resilience, hope, and the strength of the community to rise above adversity. The impact went beyond just immediate financial recovery. By restoring the ability to fish, Ronaldo's initiative allowed these communities to reintegrate into their local markets and economies. The fishermen could once again participate in the trade, and the ripple effect spread throughout their villages. Markets and local businesses that depended on the fishing industry began to recover as well, creating a broader economic revival. This helped ensure that the recovery was sustainable, not just a temporary fix. Families could begin to plan for the future, knowing that they had the means to support themselves once again. In addition to the economic benefits, the initiative helped to rebuild a sense of community and solidarity. As the fishermen returned to their boats, there was a renewed sense of connection among them. The boats were not just instruments of livelihood, they were symbols of resilience and the collective strength of the community. This shared experience of recovery, aided by Ronaldo's generosity, brought people together and allowed them to face the challenges ahead with greater unity and determination. Through this simple yet profound act, Ronaldo provided the means for these families to regain not only their livelihoods, but also their sense of dignity, hope, and belonging. What set Cristiano Ronaldo's response to the tsunami disaster apart from many other charitable efforts was his personal involvement in the initiative. While it is common for public figures to make financial donations or lend their names to causes, Ronaldo went above and beyond by directly engaging with the affected communities. He recognized that, in times of crisis, the emotional support and physical presence of a leader can be just as important as material aid. For the fishermen and their families, seeing Ronaldo visit the area and interact with them personally was a powerful message of hope and solidarity. Ronaldo's visit to the affected areas was not just a symbolic gesture, it demonstrated his genuine concern for the well-being of the people he was helping. Rather than sending representatives or simply providing financial support, he chose to meet with the fishermen face-to-face, listen to their stories, and offer encouragement. This personal connection served to humanize the situation and remind the communities that they were not forgotten. For many of the fishermen who had experienced the trauma of losing everything in the tsunami, seeing Ronaldo take the time to be there with them was a reminder that, even in the darkest of times, there are people who care. In addition to the emotional support, Ronaldo's hands-on involvement helped ensure that the aid being provided was exactly what was needed. By visiting the communities, he gained a first-hand understanding of the specific challenges the fishermen faced. This allowed him to make informed decisions about the types of boats and equipment that would best serve their needs. His presence on the ground gave the initiative a more personal and targeted approach, ensuring that the assistance was as effective and impactful as possible. Ronaldo's personal involvement also helped to amplify the reach of the project. When a high-profile figure like Ronaldo gets directly involved in a cause, it draws attention from the media, other potential donors, and the global community. His visit highlighted the severity of the disaster and the importance of supporting the recovery efforts. Moreover, it inspired others, both in the football world and outside it, to get involved in their own ways. Ronaldo's example demonstrated how public figures can use their platforms to raise awareness and mobilize support for critical causes. On a deeper level, Ronaldo's direct engagement with the community exemplified the importance of empathy and leadership. By stepping out of his comfort zone and into the lives of those in need, he showed that leadership is not about standing apart from the people, but standing with them in their times of hardship. His personal involvement sent a strong message about the values of compassion, humility, and dedication to improving the lives of others. For the fishermen, it was more than just receiving boats. It was about feeling seen, valued, and supported by someone they admired, which reinforced the strength and power of human connection in the face of adversity. In the aftermath of a disaster like a tsunami, immediate relief is crucial to prevent further suffering and to help affected communities begin the long process of rebuilding their lives. The urgency of responding quickly cannot be overstated, as delays in providing aid can exacerbate the situation, leading to increased trauma, hunger, and poverty. For the fishermen who had lost their boats, the immediate need was not just for temporary food or shelter, but for the tools that would allow them to return to their livelihood and regain some stability in their lives. In this regard, Ronaldo's intervention was both timely and critical. The fishermen had faced the sudden loss of their boats, something that was integral to their very survival. The loss of fishing equipment meant they could no longer go out to sea and catch fish, a primary source of income and sustenance for themselves and their families. Without their boats, the longer they were left without help, the greater the risk of spiraling into poverty. The urgency of the situation called for a quick response, and this is where Ronaldo's initiative to provide boats became so valuable. By acting swiftly, Ronaldo ensured that the affected communities did not have to wait for months or years to begin rebuilding. Instead, they received the essential tools they needed to get back to work almost immediately, allowing them to regain their independence and start contributing to the recovery of their communities. Ronaldo's focus on providing boats as part of immediate relief was also a strategic decision that demonstrated his understanding of the broader implications of such a disaster. While food, water, and temporary shelter are crucial in the initial days following a disaster, it is the restoration of livelihoods that truly helps communities bounce back. By providing the fishermen with new boats, Ronaldo gave them the opportunity to begin working again and supporting their families right away, which helped reduce the long-term dependency on external aid. This approach emphasized the importance of long-term sustainability over short-term fixes, which is vital in disaster recovery. Moreover, the boats were more than just an immediate physical need. They were symbolic of hope and recovery. In times of crisis, people can feel helpless and powerless, especially when they lose their means of survival. By ensuring that the fishermen could quickly return to the sea, Ronaldo offered them more than just the means to fish. He provided a sense of dignity, empowerment, and the promise of a better future. This quick response allowed the affected communities to see that help was not only possible but also immediate, which played a critical role in lifting their spirits and motivating them to rebuild. In addition to the physical aid provided, the speed with which Ronaldo acted helped set a precedent for how disasters should be handled. Immediate relief is not just about offering assistance, it's about ensuring that the help is meaningful and timely. The quicker communities receive the tools they need to rebuild their livelihoods, the faster they can regain their sense of stability. Ronaldo's focus on the immediate needs of the fishermen underscores the importance of prioritizing actions that help individuals stand on their own feet as soon as possible, providing a foundation for further recovery efforts. Through this initiative, Ronaldo highlighted the significance of timely and effective response in disaster relief. His commitment to acting swiftly helped the affected fishermen reclaim their livelihoods, ensuring that they could start rebuilding their lives right away. By prioritizing the restoration of their means to work, Ronaldo demonstrated how immediate relief should not only address the basics of survival but also empower communities to recover more quickly and effectively. Ronaldo's initiative to help the fishermen affected by the tsunami sent a powerful message of solidarity and hope to not only the victims, but also to the wider world. In times of catastrophe, one of the most vital emotional needs is the reassurance that people are not alone in their suffering. The presence of an international figure like Cristiano Ronaldo, who took time to personally visit the communities and offer aid, symbolized a broader message of support and unity. For the fishermen, this was more than just the provision of material resources. It was a reminder that the world was watching, that others cared, and that their suffering had not gone unnoticed. By getting personally involved, Ronaldo showed that compassion transcends borders, cultures, and backgrounds. As a global icon, Ronaldo's involvement brought attention to the plight of the fishermen, making their struggle known to millions of people worldwide. This visibility helped generate awareness about the disaster and encouraged others, both individuals and organizations, to contribute in any way they could. Ronaldo's leadership in this effort demonstrated that, regardless of fame or fortune, anyone can take action to make a meaningful difference in the lives of others. His example encouraged others in positions of influence to take similar actions, fostering a spirit of collective responsibility in times of crisis. Moreover, the boats that Ronaldo provided were not just physical tools for the fishermen. They were symbols of hope and resilience. For those who had lost everything, the boats represented a fresh start, an opportunity to rebuild their lives and return to work. In a time when despair could easily have taken hold, Ronaldo's act of giving gave the fishermen something tangible to look forward to, a way back to their normal lives, their work, and their communities. The boats allowed them to reclaim their role as providers for their families and contribute once again to the local economy. This restoration of dignity and agency was one of the most profound effects of Ronaldo's intervention. The message of solidarity went beyond the immediate beneficiaries of the boats. Ronaldo's involvement showed the world that even in the face of global tragedies, individuals can make a difference. It was a call for unity, compassion, and a collective approach to overcoming hardships. The fishermen were reminded that they were not isolated in their struggles, but part of a larger global community that was willing to support them. This created a ripple effect. One person's actions, when driven by genuine care and a sense of responsibility, can inspire others to take part in charitable actions and humanitarian work, regardless of their background or resources. Finally, the solidarity demonstrated through this initiative went beyond just material help. The emotional and psychological impact of knowing that someone cared about their future helped the fishermen and their families regain hope for a better tomorrow. This hope was as vital as the boats themselves. In the face of overwhelming destruction, the belief that recovery was possible and that the world stood with them helped the fishermen rebuild their lives with renewed strength and determination. Ronaldo's actions sent a resounding message that, no matter how devastating a disaster may be, the collective power of human kindness and solidarity can bring light to even the darkest of times. Through his involvement, he not only helped these individuals rebuild their lives but also restored their belief in the goodness of people and the power of community support.